this is Lars Maechling, and this is my APUSH history final with Mr. Moritz, titled America in the West. Since the dawn of the United States history, Americans have always been infatuated with the West. Whether that be through movies, popular culture, or just word of mouth, the West has been the proclaimed heart of Americana. Although we claim the West as our pride, where did this feeling arise? And where in history are the seeds planted to the idea of the West? For this document-based question project, the essential question seeks to explore such ideas. From the years 1830 to 1900, evaluate the extent to which the settlement of the West has been romanticized in America. Now, for context, when American continent was first colonized by the British in Williamstown, Virginia, not many knew what lay far behind the rolling peaks of Appalachia. Considering that there were British royal laws that barred westward settlement, such as the Proclamation of 1763, Americans were bounded on both sides, east and west, to the arbitrary oppression of the crown. However, as America would go on to win its independence and expand geographically, the West went on to become somewhat of a focal point. With the British gone, only American Indians stood in the way of the people. As American society expanded, so did its economy, and thus the market revolution occurred. Railroads were built north and south, steamboats cruised the rivers, factories lined the towns, industry was booming. For the first time in American history, the United States was becoming an industrial superpower. And with this rise of industry, the cities that they were hosted in grew as well, providing more Americans with more opportunities. Eventually, this breadth of American influence touched the Pacific Ocean. To many, they believed that this was the destiny of America to do so, hence the term manifest destiny. This American ideation of westward movement was not only evident in cartoons, but in other forms of art, such as writing, paintings, and eventually law. To this, it is fair to conclude that between the years 1830 and 1900, westward movement was romanticized to the extent which all venues of American life were impacted significantly. Albeit through media, politics, or law, Americans everywhere found it hard to escape the alluring promises of Western expansion. As aforementioned, the ideation of Western expansion had crept into nearly every area of life. However, the medium by which this was most popular was in art. One of the most popular paintings in American history alludes to this glorification. It is John Gass' 1872 painting, American Progress, in which Gass depicts Columbia, the angelic symbol of America, flying westward over the Great Plains, followed by a brigade of white settlers. Following the settlers include trains, carriages, and the Lady Columbia herself spreading telegraph wires, seen in the central portion of the image. Also, she is chasing Indians and buffaloes into the far darkness of the West. Understanding the symbolism in the painting, one may deduce that the light of the East is representative of civilization. It is chasing away the brutish nature of Indians with a light from the star atop of Columbia's head. Moreover, the fact that the sun in the painting is rising in the east demonstrates that it is only dawn, and that America is just beginning. Understanding that Gass painting is one of the most popular in American history, it is evident that the glorification of westward expansion was a well-accepted notion between 1830 and 1890. Now, for document 2. Although cultural and artistic factors are important in considering the popularity of westward expansion, we, as scholars, must also consider the objective factors that solidified this ideology into the ground. An act to secure the homesteads to actual settlers on the public domain, more simply known as the Homestead Act, was a law that did such. The Homestead Act promised citizens who had never, quote, borne arms against the United States a free 160 acres of government land to use in the Western Territory. This was a significant piece of legislation in the light of westward movement, as it ground the notion into law. Also, one must understand the context of the passage of the Homestead Act. Passed in the midst of the Civil War, some may argue that the law was only passed to create more land territory for the Union during the war. Although this, in some lights, is true, it took part in glorifying the West, some uninhabited free land where the government could provide you with a free 160 acres. Now on to document 3, Polk's inaugural address. Another bulwark of glorification of the West actually preceding the Homestead Act, was the rhetoric of President James Knox Polk. Polk, of course, was the president that oversaw the Mexican-American War, which of course resulted in one of the largest land cessions in American history. In his inaugural address, Polk did not fail to touch on Texas as well. Polk is noted as saying, quote, "The Republic of Texas has made known her desire to come into our Union, to form part of our Confederacy, and enjoy with us the blessings of liberty, secured and guaranteed by our Constitution." Polk refers to the annexation of Texas as a necessary action, somewhat vital to the protection of liberty of patriots. This, in turn, takes part in the glorification of the West, as the President outlines its annexation as a tenet of American liberty. Moreover, the fact that this sort of rhetoric is emanating from the highest office in the land indicates that this glorification had in fact reached a widespread audience. To document 4, factually as well, the glorification of Western expansion was evident, especially with the growth of transportation technology in the midst of the market revolution. Americans now had the means to spread goods and ideas across a nation. Within the graphic, the railroad network from 1880, one is able to see such ideas be manifested in actuality. Railroads are seen sprawling across the lands: New York to Chicago, San Francisco to Detroit, Charleston to Phoenix. Americans now had the opportunity to reach as far across the nation as they liked. This map, of course, is evident of westward expansion and romanticism in American railroads, as American railroad companies were now willing to risk the capital to expand into this unknown territory. This risk, taken by the companies to expand, is evident of Western romanticism, as demand within the market was necessary in order to assume such risk to create Western rails. As America continued to expand its territories into the Pacific towards the end of the 19th century, glorification of this expansion was still in full swing. As the winner of the Spanish-American War and various smaller tribal wars, America found itself a new obligation to provide goods and service to the indigenous of the area. The White Man's Burden, Apologies to Rudyard Kipling, captures the instance of this position. A downtrodden Uncle Sam, as well as the British national character John Bull, are carrying up baskets full of indigenous ethnicities up a mountain past barbarism and ignorance, toward the light of civilization, education, and liberty. Some argue that this could perhaps diminish the glorification by demonstrating that America was obliged to provide the native people with goods and services, leaving a significant burden on the nation, hence the name in the cartoon. However, the fact that this Uncle Sam, in this cartoon, is carrying various ethnicities towards the light, a virtuous action, one can conclude rather that the financial burdens of expansionism are superseded by the virtue of civilization, therefore romanticizing its expansion. Between 1830 and 1890, through various aforementioned sources, it is feasible to deduce that the expansion into the West was romanticized to the extent which all bastions of American life were impacted, from art to media to law and the highest office in the land, the president. The ideation of the West crept into every area of American life, leaving an everlasting impact on our national formation. Although the market revolution played a key role in the ideology's formation, Western romanticism did not cease to exist once the market revolution died out. Even after the turn of the century, Americans still relished in the hope of the West, especially with the rise of the radio, the cinema, and other forms of media. Perhaps the years 1830 to 1890 only set the foundation for the Western culture yet to come evident in the 20th century. Thank you.